Met hierdie welweesgesprek verduidelik die mentor baie kortliks weer met hulp van die definisie op die kaart wat welwees is en die simboliek van die welwiel. Daarna verduidelik die mentor hoe die gespreksessie sal verloop met luister, leer en leef as kernbeginsels.
Hi everybody.
Hi.
Are you guys ready for your second session?
Yeah. So keen. So
how was the last session for you guys? Are you still? Can you remember anything that we did from the last session?
A wheel.
Yeah.
It's about
Six dimensions.
Six dimensions.
Yeah. Listening.
Living.
That's
Good. I'm so glad you guys are remembering these things. Okay. Yeah. Just to briefly recap again. We're busy with wellness, and we understand that to be well, you need to be well in all 6 dimensions of our student lives and lives in general. Okay?
Aangesien hierdie nie die eerste sessie is nie, gaan die mentor na inleidende opmerkings die mentees aanraai om 'n ander welweesdimensie as die een waaroor die eerste sessie gesels is te kies. Dan begin die welweesgesprek oor die volgende dimensie.
Okay, so last time we spoke about emotional wellness. How did you guys find that?
Good session, yeah.
Good session. Okay. Perfect. Yeah, so we did it through listening to each other, learning from each other, and seeing how we can apply it in life. Okay? So we're going to do exactly the same thing today, but we're not going to do it with the emotional one again. We'll do it with another one. So I'll just put out we use the cards like we did last time as well, and I'll put out all the different cards of the 6 different dimensions, and then we can choose a different one. So we've got the spiritual, the occupational, the physical, the social, the emotional, and the intellectual. Is there anyone that you guys would specifically like to speak about today?
I think the intellectual wellness is a good one.
Yeah, definitely.
Especially
Okay. Because
Lectures are starting soon.
definitely, yeah. Now that math squared is almost over, you have to get serious about your intellectual well-being, certainly. Okay, so just like last time, I'm just going to read to you the definition just that we're all on the same page in terms of what intellectual wellness actually is. So intellectual wellness means using your intellect. You use your intellect to learn from life and to acquire new knowledge. Okay? So your intellectual wellness also enables you to study successfully. This can lead you to realize your intellectual potential. Okay, so it's pretty important, in other words. Okay, on the back of the card, just like remember last time with the emotional well-being, we had the different emotions. So this one's back of the card. That's your brain, and those are all the different cogs going on in your brain. So in terms of your intellectual well-being, there are also 6 within the intellectual dimension. There are 6 different levels of intellectual functioning.
Okay.
How your brain functions. Okay, so that's illustrated over here in this block diagram. Okay, so it basically from bottom to top, it escalates in terms of the levels of your intellectual maturity. In other words, so right at the bottom we've got remembering, which is quite a simple brain function. It's just I'll just read through the 6 for you. So right at the bottom is remember, understand, apply, analyze, evaluate, and create. Okay, so ending off with the most advanced, you could put it like that, advanced intellectual activity that you'll be doing is actually to create as opposed to remembering. Okay. So why don't we just kick off the conversation by reading the first question like last time. Why do you guys think it's important to have confidence in your own intellectual abilities? In your view?
I think it's quite important because a lot of people think that they can motivate themselves by giving themselves a lot of negative self-talk. So by talking down to themselves, they actually think they can get better. I don't think that works too well. I think what people don't realize is that if you actually believe in your own ability and what you can do, and the bigger that you think about yourself, the bigger person you become. So, conversely, if you think of yourself as really small, then you become quite a small, introverted person. So, yeah.
That's very true. Actually, to add on to that, I came across an article, and basically what was said in that article is that all people, all human beings have a relatively unlimited brain, if you want to call it that, or relatively unlimited potential. And I think a lot of the times people don't realize that, and so they make several excuses for why they can't achieve certain things and why they don't have this and that ability. And often, for us to fully realize our potential and fully realize our abilities, we actually just need to change the way we perceive ourselves and the way we speak about ourselves, and apply that in a positive light. So.
But I agree. Like you can say that the brain probably has pretty much an unlimited capacity, but there's no ways that you can just sit back and relax, do nothing, and just expect your brain to cope and do all the work for you and still expect to pass. I think that there should be a good measure of hard work, and not just hard work sporadically, but you should make it a habit to reinforce that ability.
Yeah, exactly. That's true. It reminds me of some of that thinking. There was a student that used to put his study books under his pillow and then go to bed at night, and then sort of hoping that the information would filter through his brain. But as funny as that may sound, or ridiculous as that may sound, I think that's often how we think about our brains. We don't think of it in terms of, it's just like any other part of our body. We sort of just expect it to work and it must just function properly. But in reality, our brain is just another part, like any other part of our body. Just like I need to exercise my biceps, which I do daily, by the way. My brain as well also needs to be developed. It's a muscle that also needs to be developed in order to work efficiently and function effectively. So that's, we're going to make that mind shift in terms of our brain and our functions, and I think that leads me on to the second question, is knowing that your brain is a muscle. Do you guys think that there are any of your intellectual skills that you should develop further, and how could you possibly develop them? So our brain is a muscle, and are there possibly any areas in your brain that are underdeveloped that needs attention and needs some work, and how can we possibly develop? Does anyone want to share?
Ek het nog nie iets gedink toe so gepraat het. Ek dink ek sal beter notas gemaak, want op skool hoef mens regtig te doen, maar nou het mens die moeite gaan op al lesings. Daar's soveel inligting wat jy moet onthou. So ek dink beter notas soos mind maps, akronieme te gebruik om inligting vas te lê in die geheue. Ek dink dis nou waar ons moet fokus.
Something that I also really need to work on that's challenging is procrastination. I procrastinate so much before tests, and then come 2 days before the time I don't have enough time to study everything.
Yeah.
So, time management, and that's definitely a challenge.
Okay, I'm in my 5th year of studying now.
Sure, wow.
Yes. No. But just in my 5 years of being a student, the one thing that I've seen amongst students, and especially those that are successful, is just their ability to manage, to plan. So just time management in terms of not just your academic schedule, but in terms of, especially because we're now focusing on wellness in terms of the 6 dimensions, the guys that constantly do well throughout university, from their first through to their sometimes 6th, 7th year, is those guys that have a healthy balance and effectively time plan and manage their time so that they fit in all those different dimensions, and they actually consciously think about how to incorporate that into their daily lives. Because a lot of us, like I used to just sort of think, okay, well, when I feel like socializing, I'm going to socialize, and just sort of sporadically go through my student life. And then I realized I completely neglected my studies, and that's when that happens, when you get to test time and you don't know, it's too much work. So effective planning is definitely one of those things that we can specifically focus on to be intellectually successful and well.
Van suksesvolle studente, my ouers het vir my gesê dat meeste suksesvolle studente is daardie mense wat nie bang is om na lesings of met hulle dosente of ander studente te praat nie. So hulle is nie bang om te encourage met ander studente en met hulle dosente oor werk wat hulle interessant gevind het of wat hulle moeilik gevind het en dis die studente wat eintlik meer inkry as wat hulle net sit in die lesings en net na alles luister. So ek het dit interessant gevind.
Ja, want ek dink soos baie mense studeer op hulle eie of alleen en dan kry hulle soos al die konsepte en goed vasgelê en dan na die tyd is dit ook altyd goed om dan met jou studente, met jou medestudente te gaan praat oor die konsepte en gaan wat jy geluister het of gehoor het of verstaan. So dan dink ek dan kan julle dit so beter doen. Dan ook al jou gedagtes te verbaliseer oor die werk.
No, guys, this is brilliant. I don't know if you've realized, but through the conversation, you've just spoken about, being more positive, the value of your own ability to believe. We've spoken about taking better notes, and now we've spoken about the value of time planning and discipline, all in, to help us grow intellectually and to perform and to reach our full potential intellectually. Also know, besides for those things, we can't discount the fact that, in order to be intellectually, just like our exercise, it requires hard work. It's not just something that's going to happen naturally. And like I was recently even made aware of this amazing resource that the university has that actually helps you with your study method. Like for years, unfortunately, I thought my studying methods were fine because it relatively worked for me. I was just scraping through some of my subjects, but I thought it was fine. I just thought that maybe I wasn't as smart as some of the other kids, so it was fine. And then I watched this video, and then I realized so many just little things that I could change in my study methods. And then I started pulling. Now I'm a genius.
What's it called?
Yeah, I was. No, yeah, it's a study vaardighede video that's available on my Marty's. You can just go in there. It's sometimes a bit hidden, but I want to bring your attention to it. I'd really encourage you guys to watch that, because I mean, for me personally, that just changed my study life completely, and I realized I wasn't actually stupid. I was just studying wrong.
I think what's also important, like with the resources that the university has to offer, is that we need to incorporate like self-discipline along with it. Because I know, like for myself, it's so much easier for me to say, to go with my friends when they invite me out and things like that, instead of studying when I know that I need to study. So how do you guys go about implementing self-discipline with your time schedules and just things like that?
Does anyone have anyone?
Wat vir my werk is, ek stel 'n werksplanning op, verkieslik per kwartaal, sodat ek iets kan hê om by te stick. Sodat, want ek het al gesien dat wanneer ek 'n vaste routine het, dan is dit maklik vir my om in te gee vir my vriende wanneer hulle sê, kom ons gaan uit, en ek weet ek het swart werk om te doen. So wanneer ek 'n vaste routine het en wanneer ek my werksplanning volg, dan is dit soveel makliker om vir hulle te sê, nee, vanaand dat ek dit doen. Miskien môre aan, wanneer ek vrytyd het, dan kan ek dit sien op my skedule. So, dit help.
Ja, ek moet iets sê, vir my hou het ook verband met jou tydsbeplanning, dat jy ook, behalwe vir die studietyd en swat, dat jy ook tyd inwerk vir sosiale geleenthede, om ook te gaan oefen en 'n routine te kom van of gesond wees en of daarby te hou. En ook dan natuurlijk, indien jy maak roosters en jy respekteer jou vriende se rooster om te gaan swat en daar hoef nie 'n versoeking te lei nie, want hulle gaan dieselfde ondersteuning aan jou ook bied. So dit vat nog ons selfdissipline. Sure.
Guys, I think this has been really useful, especially for me. I've just been listening, and each person is giving their personal experience and a few tips. And I feel that since all of us are probably going to be spending at least 3 years in this, it's going to be useful.
Yeah.
It's going to be useful for us if we can talk about this again, because it sounds like there's just so much knowledge going around that can help all of us. So people should talk about it again.
Ek dink wat belangrik is, dat ons mekaar moet verantwoordbaar. In verband met hierdie goed. En soos ook met soos Henry gesê van die rooster, dat jy weet as jy jou vriend of jou vriendin verantwoordbaar kan hou met daai studie rooster, en dan weet, nee, ons gaan nie nou uit nie, dit is nie nou ons tyd nie, dat ons mekaar dan so respekteer, en dan is dit 'n manier dat jy kan weet, ja, we're all in this together.
Definitely. Like, I think we need to realize that this is an ongoing process. It's not something that just gets dealt with and then, you move on. So we've spoken about the emotional, we've spoken about the intellectual now, and we've learned a lot. Like, I learned so much from you guys. I wish I had this kind of thing in my first year. But it's definitely something that needs to get spoken about throughout the year. So I think definitely we will have to come back to these things and maybe reflect on how it's worked out. Maybe some of the things that we've said haven't actually worked out, but that's where discussion and this group is important, is that we need to come back together and reflect on it and continue to speak about those things so we can keep the wheel rolling.
Sure. Yeah. Cool. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Stefan. Sure. When's our next session, Stefan?
I'll let you guys know. We're all on the WhatsApp group. There you go. So I'll let you guys know, and we can. If you have any questions, just let us know on the group, whatever. And we can just chat and communicate through that.
Cool.
You guys just have a great week, guys.
Soos jy sou gesien het, word die vrae op die kaarte spontaan deur sommige mentees gevra. As dit egter nie gebeur nie, kan die mentor die vrae gebruik om die gesprek beter te laat vloei. Dit is belangrik dat die mentor ook die positiewe trant van die gesprek monitor. Terwyl dit beslis goed is as die mentees weer oor sekere dimensies wil gesels, moet daar egter probeer word om al 6 dimensies in 'n jaar met 'n mentorgroep deur te werk. Kyk gerus weer en weer na die video's as jy onseker voel oor hoe die sessies moet verloop. Laastens, onthou om www.san.ac.za/bewell te besoek en die mentees aan te moedig om dieselfde te doen. Sterkte!